Good morning, Vikings. I tried to do this video several times for all of you, so I'm hoping that this time, no, I'm convinced this time it's going to work. So last week I sent you an email about a holiday challenge where you send a selfie holding a positive message. But at the end of this video message, I'm going to give you an example of that since I couldn't get the video to upload last week. But before that, I'm going to tell you two stories, okay? Two little stories. So I hope that all of you had an incredible Thanksgiving, and I hope you're going to have a great holiday season and Christmas. But experience tells me that not all of you are going to, because sometimes we have really, really tough ones, really, really tough holidays, and sometimes we have great ones. But both of them, both types of holidays teach us something. So I'm going to share two stories, one when I was a little girl and one when I was a mother, about two really, really tough holidays and what they taught me. And maybe for those of you that are experiencing a tough holiday, maybe you'll get a little comfort out of it, maybe. Okay, so my experience as a little girl. I was a fifth grader. My mom had found herself a single mom for the second time. And to my brother and I, my brother was in third grade. And I remember that it was Thanksgiving. My mom was gone when I woke up in the morning. She was gone when we got home because she worked super hard. And a little bit about my mom was fiercely independent. She was strong. She was very stubborn. She was determined to fix problems on her own and did not believe in asking for help. It's just who she was. And so this particular holiday season, I remember my brother and I, we're out of school, right? And we wake up that morning and we're kind of bummed because we know we are not going to have the Thanksgiving we saw in the commercials. But my mom, she was determined to make it a really special day. So she blares the music and she wakes us up out of bed and says, "Get out of bed. I want you to get dressed. We're going to have fun." We played board games. We listened to music. We bounced around the house acting like fools. And then my mom didn't have any money for food, and we definitely weren't going to have a feast. And so she had scrounged enough money together to get 2 loaves of fancy bread. Like, to me, I just remember at the time they were just fancy loaves of bread and 3 jars of jelly or jam. And that was going to be our Thanksgiving feast. My brother and I just kind of looked at each other, but she made it so much fun. She took the big old tub of country crock out of the refrigerator, and we took cookie cutters and we made shapes out of all the bread. And then we toasted it with that butter, stuck it in the oven. We decorated the table with fancy dishes that my mom had had for years since I could remember. And we made it look like it was going to be this feast like in the movies, right? Or in the commercials. And all it was, though, was spread with all these different shapes of toast and jam. And that's what we had for our Thanksgiving feast. And I remember going to bed that night, and a part of me was really happy because it had been an awesome day with my mom and my brother. It had been she had made that day so special and made the best out of what it was and reminded us of what it was about. And it was about love, right? But then another part of me, that fifth grade girl in me, was afraid of going back to school on Monday because I knew my 2 best friends who had that mom and dad and had a totally different life than me were going to talk about that Thanksgiving that I saw in my dreams. And they were going to have the feast and the food that just they had leftovers for days and all the people and the friends and just all of it. And I, at the time, was embarrassed to tell them what my Thanksgiving was like. So I just dreaded that Monday. Anyway, flash forward several years. Now I'm a mother and I have 3 kids. And I find myself unexpectedly a single mom right before the holidays. And I remember that was just the toughest time for my kids and I. I just wanted to crawl under the covers and not even come out until it was like all better. But that wasn't a reality. I had my mom's voice in my head. And I
couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, my phone went off. I don't even know I did that. Anyway, I apologize for that. But I had my mom's voice in my head. And luckily, she had instilled all of those qualities in me. I had a reputation for being fiercely independent and being a little stubborn and wanting to solve problems on my own and working through difficult times, even when I just wanted to give up. And I looked at my three kids. They were 4, 8, and 9. They were young and they were hurting because all of a sudden their dad was gone and we didn't have any money. And I moved us back to Texas with every single dime we had because I still had my last year of college to finish. But now I had to go find jobs too. And so I talked a district into hiring me as a teacher, even though I didn't have my certification yet. And I was a cocktail waitress at night because those tips were really good. But even with all of that, I could barely survive with them. So I knew that this Christmas that was coming up was going to be horrible. And I remember at night when they would go to sleep, I would just cry and I would cry and cry in my bed because I didn't want them to experience those holidays that I had experienced. I just never wanted that for my children. Anyway, it was what it was. And I didn't want anyone to know about it. I knew my friends would help. I knew my mom would help, but I didn't want anyone to know about it because my mom had instilled those qualities in me. So anyway, as we get closer, we lived in this little house in the middle of nowhere, which I loved actually, but lived in the middle of nowhere in a Texas pasture surrounded by cows. And I packed up the kids. It was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days for Christmas. I packed the kids up because I couldn't afford a Christmas tree. And Christmas trees didn't just grow in that part of Texas. So we got in my Jeep and we blasted Cher. I don't know if any of you know Cher, but she was one of my favorites at the time. And we blasted her song Strong Enough. And all 3 of my kids, as we're hitting the bumps, or just a bumping, and they're going up and down, and they're laughing and they're giggling, and we're singing this song, and we went on search for the perfect tree. And well, the perfect tree ended up being this 2-foot pine tree, this young little sapling, essentially. And it had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 branches. We cut it, we stuck it into a pot of dirt, we took it back to our little house where all 4 of us stayed in the living room because it's the only room that I could afford to heat up. And we slept in there together. And we put our little Christmas tree there with its 3 or 4 ornaments that were on it. I don't know. I don't even think it was that many because it would weigh it down. And I tried to make it as silly and fun as I possibly could for my kids because I knew they weren't going to have presents and they weren't going to have filled stockings. Anyway, long story short, right? These 2 stories. When I look back on all my holidays as a little girl, the one I remember the most was that Thanksgiving with my mom. And what is the craziest thing is I was so determined to give my kids a different life, and I did after that, that now they're all grown. They're grown, and I have grandchildren. And when my kids talk about their favorite Christmas, which one do you think they talk about? They talk about the Christmas we had nothing. We had nothing. And that was their favorite Christmas because they remember that Cher song. They remember us bouncing through the pasture. They remember that Christmas tree. They remember us all sleeping in the living room to stay warm and staying together, and the silliness that I did each day to make them feel happy and not think about our circumstances. So those 2 holidays, what they taught me was, they taught me that the holidays are about love. They're about giving love to other people. They're about receiving love. But they're also there to make us strong and to appreciate and be thankful for those holidays later that are a lot better in other ways. And it made me appreciate. So all of you that had great Thanksgiving and are going to have a great Christmas, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to push out this wish out into the universe for all those people that aren't going to have those types of holidays. Wish them love. Send all the love you can. Wish them better holidays to come. And then be thankful. Be very, very thankful. Be grateful for the holiday that you get to have. Because I'm happy for those of you that have it. And I'm also hopeful for all of you that aren't going to have it the way we envision it, okay? So here is a quick summary of our holiday challenge. What I would like each of you to do, and what I said in email, is you're going to send me a selfie showing your face. Okay. And what I want you to do is you're going to put a hopeful message. It could be a quote of someone else's, or it can be your own. Something, it's a message of hope to where when someone reads it, they smile. They put a smile on their face. Okay. And so here's an example. I would take a selfie with my face and with my hopeful message. And it says, if you want to be happier, make someone else's day happy. Because no matter how tough my life has been or how wonderful my life has been, this has always been true, has always been true. Whenever I'm feeling sorry for myself, I try to make someone else's day better, and it always, always makes my day better. Okay, so I would take a picture, and then you're going to send it. You're going to send it to me. And then once I check, because as you notice, everything's spelled correctly. I have punctuation. I have capitalization. And don't worry, if you make a mistake with that, I will help you. I will help you fix it, okay? But you're going to send that picture to me, and I'm going to hopefully flood our district Facebook with pictures of CBMS students holding messages of hope. And I'm kind of hoping I get some teachers to do it too, just hint, hint. But anyway, encourage the teachers to do it too, okay? And we're going to send all of these messages of hope, okay? Okay, I'm hoping this video works. I'm hoping it gets to all of you, and I'm hoping I'm going to get tons and tons of selfies so I can have our Facebook filled with messages. Have an